Hello, my YouTube friends. Chrissy here at A Little Glam, A Lot of Mom. Today, I've turned on the camera as I am preparing for the first main lesson block of our year. Some call it a unit study. If there's something that you might know about our family, especially if you follow us over on Instagram, it's that we have a deep connection to the ocean. We like to think that our element is water. I've been dreaming about and planning an ocean study from the moment we moved to our little barrier island just about 2 years ago. With the Atlantic Ocean across the street and the most biodiverse estuary in the US in our backyard, what better time and location to begin than now? I am preparing for us to jump in and out of this study for an entire year. We really don't like to put an exact end time to our learning. So grab a cup of coffee and sit with me as I prepare for an oceanography study. I've shared details about my bullet journal in the past. This isn't necessarily my calendar planner, more so what's in the name, a journal. So this is what I like to use for ideas, planning, and whereas my calendar planner is more of a log for record keeping. My first step is to be clear on our intentions for this main lesson, the area of topics and goals for the study. The topics I'd like to cover are history of ocean exploration and pioneers of ocean exploration and conservation, research, exploration and conservation work in our beach town community, ocean habitats, marine animalium, under the sea folklore and art through marine biology. Our goals are for the youngest to learn the oceans of the world. We're all learning about migratory behavior and trails, Florida seashell identification, nature journaling, growing our nature specimen or collection, and art. Once together we've solidified our intentions, the next step is to take inventory of all the books and resources you saw in previous clips. I literally pull all of it together onto a table. Then I make piles into categories, and I'll explain my thought process behind that method of organization. And once I've taken inventory of what we have, I begin to compile a small list of resources we'll need, and that also includes a library list. Highlighted in blue is my list of the books we'll be using as a spine, and this is the stack. If you're familiar with our method or our style, we don't really box ourselves into a curriculum. I very heavily rely on books for our learning. For my Florida Seashell identification, we have Florida Seashells, a Beachcomber's Guide by Blair and Dawn Witherington. So if you've listened to me review field guides, then you know that a well-organized field guide wins my heart, and this one has it. It makes referencing to and identifying our finds super easy. This volume has 287 species represented by over 400 full-color images and 175 range maps. This book tells the name, location, and stories of each shell. Next up is Ocean Anatomy by Julia Rothman, the curious parts and pieces of the world under the sea. From anatomy of sea animals to deep sea marine life, from shoreline to ocean floor, and how climate change and plastic are impacting our world's oceans. This is a beautiful reference book with illustrations to inspire journaling and a large number of topics to study. The collection by Julia Rothman is a staple in every naturalist family's home. You cannot open this book and not be inspired to learn more about the natural world. Whales, an illustrated celebration. This reference book delves into cetaceans, their place in mythology, their ecology, habitats, and behaviors. Seashells by the Seashores, a counting book, but also a great living book with information about the types of shells in the story. The Magic of Seashells. This is a 3-part book, a story, identifying shells, and a color activity portion towards the back of the book. Migration, Incredible Animal Journeys. This is our main resource for learning about marine animals' migratory trails. It features 20 animals that aren't specific to just marine animals, but there is a good amount of them. There are whales, seals, sharks, penguins, crabs, fish, seabirds, and sea turtles. The information is solid, beautiful illustrations, and we love the migratory map towards the back of the book. We're inspired to create our own. Underwater, Under Earth, 2 books in one, but we'll be referencing to the underwater half of the book. There are hundreds of fascinating facts in here. This is the type of book you could just get lost in for hours reading all these snippets of information and captivated by the illustrations. I love these oversized and matte pages and paper. This will be one of our main resources for the history of ocean exploration, from early submarines and deep sea divers, a history of marine scientists, and even the Titanic. This is just a treasure among our resources. And finally, but certainly not least, Oceanarium, clearly for the marine biology portion of our studies, but there's also a lot of information, and it's actually organized by ocean habitats. Most of you already know how I feel about this Welcome to the Museum collection. It's literal physical happiness in my hands. The next highlighted category is my read-aloud category, and this is not just the actual books, but also for the resources or activities the kids will use to keep their hands busy but ears open during read-aloud time. So let's start with the books. A Whale of the Wild by Roseanne Perry. This one was on our wish list for last year, and we never got around to it, but I'm glad we saved it. A young orca whale must lead her brother on a tumultuous journey to be reunited with their pod. This gorgeously illustrated animal adventure novel explores family bonds, survival, global warming, and the changing seascape. It includes information about orcas and their habitats. Next up is the Burgess Seashore book. We've made our way in and out of this over the years, which I've found is a common pattern for us with classics like this. It reads, Danny Meadow Mouse, Jimmy Skunk, and Reddy Fox explore the Atlantic shoreline and learn about habits and habitats of many creatures, from horseshoe crabs to sea cucumbers. Veteran storyteller Thornton Burgess shares information with his young readers about dozens of creatures that thrive along the Atlantic shoreline. When the Sea Turned to Silver by Grace Lynn. This is the companion to Over the Mountain Meets the Moon, one of our favorite read-alouds of all time. It's actually a trilogy, and we're excited to read the third one next. This is great for the folklore aspect of our study. It reads, Pinmay's gentle, loving grandmother always has the most thrilling tales for her granddaughter and the other villagers. However, the peace is shattered one night when soldiers of the emperor arrive and kidnap the storyteller. One of my favorite resources for read aloud time are puzzles. We have 3 here, different skill levels for my 3 littles. This is an animal-shaped 100-piece puzzle, a sea turtle. I'm not sure where we got this. I think it was gifted to us by a family member. Melissa and Doug 48-piece floor puzzle, larger pieces for my youngest one. Anna Ravensburger 200-piece puzzle is most appropriate for my 9-year-old. My littlest one likes to color while I read, so we love these Dover coloring books and have several in different subjects. She always enjoys it when we read the educational information under the picture together. This is also for her. Create an Underwater Glitter Scene by Melissa and Doug. Next up is our pile of picture books. We'll start with our Spanish reader. This is Alma del Mar. This is about a little girl who is fascinated with the sea despite never having been to the sea, and her father, a passionate storyteller who succeeds in getting Alma to go to the sea every night through his stories. Down Under the Pier. This is a stunning and poetic picture book about the magic that's found at low tide, the intertidal zone under the pier. Ocean is a beautiful children's book with peek-through holes that show the amazing life in the world's oceans. The Rainbow Fish, an award-winning book and classic. The Crab Man. This is a story of a poor child who decides without hesitation to forfeit income rather than harm animals. It delivers a powerful message and it takes setting in a culture and island that is very dear to us, Jamaica. Before I move forward, guys, I want to apologize about the lighting that's coming in and out. We're experiencing severe weather right now, a big thunderstorm, and so I'm having to adjust my ring light as I lose natural lighting. All right, so moving on, we don't have a literature guide for a chapter book, but we do have a mini literature guide by Hearth Magic for the storybook Big Al. Because it's a picture book and shorter, my plan is to use this as an opening activity for the week that we study fish. The activities in this guide include puppets for retelling the story, copy worksheets for handwriting, fish life cycle and anatomy of a fish worksheets, a handcraft, and ocean-themed circle time. More resources for opening activities are devotionals. We have both 1 and 2 of Indescribable 100 Devotions about God and Science. There are several prompts in each volume that relates to the ocean. Little snippets of science along with scripture and how they connect, bringing God together with the world He created. I have a few random activities that I've collected in this folder. I have Create a Scene Puzzles by Petit Collage and Chick-fil-A. I've held on to these for a while. These are great for imaginative play and storytelling. Bella and I created some ocean-themed yoga cards several years ago, and we can use these along with Cosmic Kids Yoga to start the day with some movement. And these are paper placemats I could bring out during breakfast with different activities like finish the drawing, coloring, word scrambles, word searches, etc. And activity books are always a request by my littles. We got this coastal discovery guide at an environmental event we attended. This is perfect for my Bella because the prompts are a bit more challenging. And for the younger two, Nat Geo sticker activity books on ocean animals and sharks. The Nat Geo sticker activity books made it into my top 10 favorite resources for preschool and early elementary years. Of course, we love games for opening activities as well. We have Ocean Bingo by Lawrence King Publishing. These games are so beautifully illustrated, and bingo is great for a wide range of ages, simple enough for my young one to follow, and then my oldest could be the one who reads the facts about each animal, which is why we love these games by Lawrence King because of the educational information that is delivered with each game. The quality is always also very good with these games, durable cardboard and cardstock. If I had to nitpick, the only weak link in these games are the pamphlets. Because they hold so much value, it is what holds in educational information to these games. I think I'm just going to pull apart the pamphlet and laminate it. We also have ocean-themed Guess Who. I've mentioned these Guess Who insert printables in the past by a shop on Etsy called Modern Classical. Just such a fun spin on the classic game of Guess Who and educational as well. All right, moving on to our study on the history and pioneers of ocean exploration and conservation. We have Life in the Ocean, the story of oceanographer Sylvia Earle. This picture book biography tells the story of Sylvia's growing passion and how her ocean exploration and advocacy have made her known around the world, along with an informative author's note to inspire young environmentalists. Follow the Moon Home, a tale of one idea, 20 kids, and 100 sea turtles. This is a triumphant story of environmental activism, community, and friendship. Activists Philip Cousteau and Deborah Hopkinson team up to offer a story of the powerful difference young people can make in the world. The watercolor illustrations are so wonderful, and again, there are notes in the back of the book to inspire young environmentalists and support to more resources on how to be part of the change. The Brilliant Deep, Rebuilding the World's Coral Reefs by Kate Messner. This is the story and living legacy of environmentalist Ken Nettemeyer, founder of the Coral Restoration Foundation. Along with the underwater book that I've already shared, this is our stack for the history and pioneers of ocean exploration and conservation. Next up are the assigned independent readers for my 9-year-old. Magic Treehouse number 9, Dolphins at Daybreak. This series has now become a breeze for her, but she still enjoys them, and they're great confidence builders as well. The beloved and classic Pippi. She makes a reappearance in Pippi in the South Seas. When Pippi's father, the king, sends for her, she decides to take her best friends Tommy and Danica with her to Kurikuridet Island. Luke and Lily of the Lighthouse, the box set by The Good and the Beautiful, and these are level 1B for my Noah. Living in a lighthouse on Firefly Island is packed with adventure and fun for Luke and Lily, but the twins also face disappointment and learn heartwarming lessons about helping one another and finding beauty in unexpected setbacks. There are 2 beginner chapter books in here, Luke's Adventure and Lily's Pumpkins. Wonderful beginner chapter books. The font size is ideal. And as always, lovely illustrations by The Good and the Beautiful original publications. Stories inspired by nature with strong family bonds and good morals. Along with the box set is this memory match game card to practice compound words featured in the books. There are 2 colored sets in this card game, so you can work with one at a time, or one player is assigned to each color, or just one big game. This is a great resource for compound words. I used it with my now 4th grader years ago, and we're loving it all over again. My kids enjoy nonfiction readers, especially the ones by Nat Geo Kids. I have 2 here for Noah, Sharks, and At the Beach. I also have a few random ones from different places, including this one I picked up on Wales at a library sale. And this is what we utilize the library for, mostly for independent readers. Again, I bought this Wales nonfiction reader for like a quarter, but we did borrow these 2. My Bella is currently obsessed with graphic novels, but they're not necessarily books I like to invest in unless it's a must-have, and we usually start at the library to become familiar with the books first. We found these science comics, Sharks, Nature's Perfect Hunter, and Coral Reefs, Cities of the Ocean. These are super fun to delivering nonfiction facts about these topics in a silly and engaging way. In researching these titles, I found that there are 18 titles of different topics, and we might just have to add these to our wish list. Alright, so that's how I prepare and organize our book lists we'll be utilizing in a main lesson block. I hope all of that made sense. Next, I move on to writing down projects, and this includes any type of group, classes, or co-ops I want to outsource. For example, this year my little ones are part of a marine explorers group in our beachside community. Together they explore tide pools and field trips to preservations, nature centers. We participate in sea turtle nests, digs, and learn about conservation efforts. I also make a space for jotting down ideas that are a possibility. Maybe some printables I saw on Pinterest or Instagram, and I keep an open supply list for the materials we might need for these projects and ideas. This is about the time when I print and prepare any printables. I don't have a lot of printables this year. The bulk of what we're using will just be from the Good and the Beautiful Marine Biology Science Unit Study. I've been holding on to this for years, and there's actually a new updated version now that is free as well. Because we prefer not to be boxed in by an actual curriculum. I've mentioned in the past that how I use these unit studies is just very deconstructed. I come in and out as needed. So in this unit, we'll be utilizing the vocabulary words, some of the worksheets like sorting activities. My kids always enjoy making the booklets as well. And of course, the experiments, which are the best part of all. Bella is loving these animal report worksheets and already started a few. She's inspired to create an entire research book of animal reports. I mentioned that I would be weaving in art into this main lesson block. Art is just a must for us. So my idea is art through marine biology, where we can explore various art mediums while learning the anatomy of different marine animals. In the similar process as I do with our books, I take inventory of the supplies we already have, and then I can proceed to make a list of the supplies we still need. So far, we have watercolor paper, 140 pound by Strathmore, multimedia or drawing paper. I've talked about the Strathmore large paper pads for years. We love them and use them for everything. Also, newsprint paper by Strathmore for sketching. As you can tell, Strathmore is our go-to paper brand. We also have some acrylic paints by Arteza along with some canvas, Winsor & Newton watercolor pigments, beeswax crayons, block and regular size crayons, oil pastels, watercolor pencils by Arteza, chalk pastels for chalk drawing. Some other projects I have in mind are more in the handcraft realm, and we want to make floating seashell candles with beeswax, wet felted ocean playmat with wool roving, and hopefully some embroidery as well. Play and hands-on learning is a crucial component in our main lesson studies. We utilize loose parts for sensory bins or trays, small world play with puppets and animal figures in storytelling, and for hands-on math activities. We enjoy educational shows and docu-series, especially for science and history. So I keep a list of websites and videos. I pre-screen them, or at least I do my research on reviews beforehand, and I keep a list, but it's also helpful to keep a playlist with links on my notes tab in my phone or laptop. I also like to keep a to-do list, and this list I do sync to my calendar planner. Here I keep a list of things I need to do. For example, book and pay for a class or a field trip, any printable that I need to cut and prepare, etc. So clearly all of the resources mentioned are geared for younger children, so I want to talk about how my teens, what role they have in this main lesson block. And if you follow us on Instagram, you might know that my high schoolers are part of a teen marine research group through a nonprofit organization in our beachside community. This class meets once a week, sometimes more, for data collection and is recurring, meaning it doesn't end with a traditional school year. They have been a part of a project called the Dark Sky Project, where they are collecting or light metering data in our beach town and surrounding beach towns. Our teen group is using their research in our presentation and educating beachside residents on the impact of beachside lighting. In the next few weeks, they are meeting with the environmental committee on the city council and presenting their research and propositions to enforce darker skies. From May through October, after sunsets, our beaches become North America's #1 sea turtle nesting grounds. This research and these projects are vital to sea turtle conservation, and we are just both so humbled and honored to be part of it as a family. Alright friends, that's it for today's video. I hope that this video was helpful to you today in having a first-hand view on how I prepare and organize for a main lesson block or unit study. If my planning process or our method or style of learning doesn't fit your family and that's not the takeaway for you, that's perfectly okay. If I inspired you to learn about the natural world, I'm happy. So thanks for tuning in today. As always, all of the resources will be linked down below. Don't forget to give us a like if you did enjoy this video. Thanks so much for your love.